A very good morning to everyone. At the onset, I would like to thank the organizers of the AOS for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you about scleral-fixated IOLs. No financial interest. Scleral-fixated IOLs are the most effective treatment modality for aphakia. The advantages being predictive post-op refraction, quick visual recovery, low cost, easy availability of the IOLs, physiological location of the placement of the IOLs, and minimal endothelial loss. The indications for SF IOLs are aphakia with inadequate capsular support, subluxated lenses, dislocated lenses, and with lenses with zonular lesions like trauma, connective tissue disorders, and microsphere aphakias. Other indications include post-cataract scenarios like subluxated IOLs, dislocated IOLs, AC IOLs with pseudophakic bullous keratopathy. The most important indications with aphakia with anti-segment abnormalities like angle recession, coloboma virus, and aniridia, where scleral-fixated lenses are probably the only option. Selection of patients we have done for patients as low as 4 years and as high as 70-year-old patients. Patients with long-standing strabismus and with posterior segment pathologies are poor candidates. Also, high-risk patients include those with low endothelial counts, history of CMEs, glaucoma blebs, uncontrolled glaucomas, and with retinal pathologies. So, thorough preoperative assessment is required for scleral-fixated IOLs. Anti-segment evaluation should include search for surgical scars, neovascularization of iris, remnants of the capsules, and vitreous in the AC. We do for all our cases specular microscopy before going in for scleral-fixated IOLs. Newer modalities for anti-segment imaging include ultrasound biomicroscopy, Schoenflug imaging, and anti-segment OCTs. Mainly we look for any vitreous in the ACs and posterior capsular supports. Posterior segment evaluation should include disc for optic atrophy for glaucoma, macula for CME, and retinal peripheral examination is a must. Test for diplopia. In long-standing cases, a contact lens trial will give you any rule of diplopia in the patients. Most important one in the pre-op assessment is a topography to assess the steeper meridian. We always plan our incisions in the steeper meridians. IOL calculation, we now have the AL scan, which has the siliconal mode, aphakic mode, and the pseudophakic mode. You can even do an immersion scan. Choice of formula are SRK2 and SRKT in our experience. The IOL power will be 0.5 diopters less than the regular IOL power. This is a small video of showing the technique of the SF IOL. First we do the conjunctival incisions for the main incision and for the side ports. After the conjunctiva is resected, when we go ahead with the scleral groove, because it is a traditional PMMA IOL, we do a 6.5 mm scleral groove, and for the side ports, which are 180 degrees apart, usually they are made perpendicular to the main incision. We do a scleral groove, and then we do a scleral tunnel with crescent blade. After the tunnels are made, then we go ahead with the railroad technique, whereby the suture is passed. This is an example of a microspherospacia with the lens inside in the anterior chamber. We go behind the natural lens with a 26 gauge needle, and then the other suture is brought out to the other end. Once the suture is passed, in this case we are after winding and entering into the main through the main incision, we are doing a lens aspiration. After the lens is aspirated, we go ahead with the exteriorization of the suture. Suture is exteriorized, then it's cut into two halves. Then the rigid IOL is sutured to the sutures. The rigid IOL is placed into the eye, and the sutures are tied. Just go through this faster. After the sutures are tied to the scleral bed, then go ahead with the vitrectomy. After the anti-vitrectomy, conjunctiva is closed. So reviewing again, the incision is always at the steeper meridian, away from the primary site of the previous surgery. If the surgery, if we are going ahead in the same week, then we take the same same site. This is for the cases referred from outside because of any PCRs and they are not able to put IOL. In case of if we are choosing a foldable IOL, then we do a small incision. The side incisions are usually can be a lamellar scleral flaps. They can be triangular, they can be rectangular, or they can be L-shaped. We prefer a scleral tunnel, or as the side incisions you can do a sclerotomy with a 20 gauge, or you can go ahead with a scleral incision or a scleral groove. Side incisions are usually perpendicular to the main, but there is a little change when in case you are putting a toric IOL. We do mark the axis, and we are trying to build up a nomogram for tying the toric IOLs, because the toric IOL marks don't always match the side port incisions. We usually mark our axis on the cornea, and then we put the lens on the cornea and then tie the sutures, and then mark the places where the suture knots are there. And then we go ahead with the side port incision at the place where the suture marks are. We are now preferring 25 gauge and 23 gauge vitrectomy and a pars plana vitrectomy over the regular vitrectomy. Choice of viscoelastic is sodium hyaluronate because it is biocompatible with the vitreous. Of course, for the endothelial protection, we use viscoat. One should avoid methyl cellulose because it may result in post-operative inflammation. So the choice of an implant, we can go ahead with the traditional 6.5 mm PMMA lens. Now we are getting SF IOLs which are foldable, which is Acriva brand. I have no financial interest. Now we can also have a 3-piece foldable IOLs with PMMA haptic, but that goes to 2.8 to 3.2 mm. You can use a single piece IOL, or you can use a single piece toric IOL, and also, of course, Anaridi IOLs are also available. Choice of suture, we can use a 10-0 Prolene suture or a 9-0 Prolene suture with 2 long needles, or 1 long and 1 curved needles, or 2 with 2 curved needles. The advantages with the curved needle being it is easier to suture. We are routinely using 9-0 Prolene because it has 50% greater diameter, greater tensile strength, and 125% greater cross-sectional area. Also, the half-life is more. So this is now available with Topalab. We have no financial interest. Choice of IV fluids with BSS and BSS Plus are always preferred over RL. Coming to the technique, I have already discussed the technique. You can go for a 2-point fixation or a 4-point fixation. You can go with a flap or no scleral flaps. You can do a suture knots or without a knotless technique using multiple scleral passes. This is a small example of a foldable IOL after the flaps are created and the suture is passed. Suture is exteriorized. It is tied to one haptic of the foldable IOL. And then the foldable IOL inserted into the eye. Care must be taken to our preferred choice is to keep the other haptic outside the eye and then tie the suture and then interiorize the other haptic and then tie it. And just go fast through this. This is for a foldable IOL with which is a 3-piece. This is a no flap and no knot technique. This is the same IOL. After the IOL is inserted into the eye, the sutures are pulled out. There is no knot. We just do a multiple passes of the suture through the sclera as indicated in this animation, and then we cut the other end, and then close the conjunctiva. Routinely we are following this technique. Just showed this video just for loading the IOL. So the suture is passed through the cartridge, then it is tied to the foldable IOL. We prefer only tying one of the haptics because if you tie both the haptics, then there is a chance of entanglement of the suture inside the cartridge. So the other haptic is tied after the IOL is placed in the case. So intra-op and post-op regimens, we routinely use intracameral antibiotics for all the cases. In case the surgery is done, the secondary surgery is done within 1 week of the primary surgery, then we also add intravitreal antibiotics. Care must be taken to observe the immediate post-operative pressure spikes. If there is any residual astigmatismal sphere, definitely we can go in for bioptics. Our preferred method is PRK. So surgical pearls here is avoid intraoperative hypotony, minimal and end-stage vitrectomy, take the support of the capsular remnants. Tunnel incisions are preferred over the regular incision. Use compatible visco like hyaluronic acid. Our results are based on cases of 710 eyes, of which 683 eyes are PMMA. The rest of the eyes are foldable, and we have done 900 eyes. We have followed these cases for Only 312 eyes have been followed as early as 6 months to as late as 11 years. So as you can see from the results, most of the patients have better vision than 612, so they are happy patients. Immediate post-op complications include IOP raised, hypema, CME, RD. We had only 3 cases of suture breakage. So to conclude, this is a simple and useful procedure which has encouraging results. This is the best option in pediatric cases. The early complications are insignificant, they can be managed, but the late complications are significant like RD, CME and suture breakage. The take-home message is adequate evaluation and adequate equipment makes a happy patient and a happy surgeon. Thank you.
It was an excellent video.